We're gonna start by peeling the lemons and juicing them. I get some saccharum out of these lemons. Mix that up so the sugar gets on all the peels. And we are going to set that aside so it can do the things that it needs to do. And I juice these lemons. The juice is going to go over our pork a little bit, and it is also going to be part of our pan sauce. Next up, we're going to prep our garlic. We are going to prep our green onions. We actually like using a glass of water and putting our green onions in that so we will regrow. This is going to be a garnish at the very end. We're finally on to the next step, trimming the fat off of our pork tenderloin. We don't want chewy bites. You'll see as I go, we're going for more of the buttery texture. Let the sauce do a lot of the flavoring, and we're not looking for the crust as much. My other recipe that's on YouTube relies a little bit more on the crust and the Maillard reaction. I made a real lazy sauce that time. I'm taking a bigger risk this time, doing a pan sauce it's something I'm not particularly good at. I'm gonna start getting my pan hot. It's very easy to make this meal gluten-free because it's just naturally gluten-free. I just have to verify that there's no cross-contamination in any ingredients. So for those who are entry-level celiacs, like people who are just learning to home cook because they have celiacs, this is a very easy meal to start out with. That's the other part that's good about this meal, is it's not any more or less expensive than a normal meal. If I was to buy replacements like pasta, the gluten-free flours, they're all more expensive. All right, let's get our dry rub going. A fair amount of oregano, garlic powder, and then onion. Just a little bit of seasoned salt. Pork's already salty as it is. A fair amount of black pepper. Since there's not a lot of heat in this recipe generally, it's, not that black pepper is terribly spicy, but it'll help bring forward some of that in reserve so it's not going to be completely out of whack. When we put the wine sauce in, it's going to be very acidic and sweet. And this is basil. And then we're going to put in some rosemary. Not looking to have a lot of oil in this pan. It's going to be the pan used for our sauce, so some of it coming off is fine. I'm going to lay this down. Put this in contact. Lay away from you so you don't splash yourself. Get that sear on all sides. We're not searing in the juice, it's just simply get a Maillard reaction in crust. And we're over 300 degrees. We're over the temperature at which water boils. Obviously, as you can see, we're splashing some oil. So that means a lot of the hydration is coming right out of the skin. We've got that Maillard reaction, which is about 280 to 320. So we're getting some of that brown crusting, and it creates a reaction in our brains that says, tasty. It's when the sugars start to break down. It's good for a lot of reasons. And we're going to call that done for our searing. So my oven is preheated to 350 degrees. We're going to put this into the 350 degree oven. Turn our temp down to 3 on our burner because that's where our pan sauce is going to go. We're just going to put a little bit of lemon juice over these. We're going to put the butter down. That'll just melt on through and around as it goes through the baking process. We're going to put a thermometer into the fattest part we can. And we are going to cook our pork to 145 degrees because that's what's recommended. You really don't want to go over 145. But we still got a lot of oil left over. So I'm just going to throw in a chunk of butter. Not that. I actually haven't made a pan sauce in a long time. I don't know who let me do this. I am not the sauce person of the house. Megan is, but we will see. We will see how this turns out. Get the butter melted all the way down. And in goes our garlic. We're just gonna get that a little bit brown before we take on our next step. Looks like we got a little bit of saccharum. You start seeing how some of the juices coming out of the peels start blending with the sugar. Lemon, honey, salt. Get a bowl for a sauce. So we're gonna put the wine in. This as our garlic's browned a bit. And we're gonna want it to reduce to about half. I'm gonna put it on simmer now. And after it reduces about halfway, we're gonna add in what saccharum we got out of our lemons. I really should have done this hours ahead of time, but I wanted to show Chad the process for saccharum. So I'm just pushing down the sugar and the juices that came together. I'm gonna try to get them into my strainer. Normally I'd say 4 or 5 hours. I did this, 1 hour, 13 minutes ago. The reason I'm going straight into the strainer with the liquid is I don't want all of the granules of sugar to go in. I want as much sugar we brought out of the lemons to go in, not my granulated white sugar. And this will just add a really deep lemon flavor. I want to do my asparagus while my pork is resting. I want everything on the plate to be hot at the same time. I think I'm about done with this. Pork's at 129. Okay, we're gonna call that done. Then we're gonna put in a lot of honey. Just a bit. A few red pepper flakes. A little bit of black pepper. A little bit of salt. And the wine's over here in case we need to add just a little bit more wine. I'm gonna taste it. And I'm gonna see if I need to risk it. Because it's not reduced enough. It's very sweet and it's very acidic. So I'm gonna add some salt, I'm gonna add some heat. A bit more red pepper flakes. And as it reduces more, that'll probably come out a bit. Obviously it's very sweet. You all saw how much honey I put in. And wine and lemon. But we knew that was coming. That's why we have some more, I don't know how to describe them, calmer ingredients, earthier ingredients in our dry rub. And we're gonna have saltiness in the pork, so I'm gonna call this done. I'm gonna taste it. I'm gonna taste it, and then I'm gonna call it done. It is balanced enough to go onto our salty pork. Our pork is at 145 on the dot. We're gonna take a taste of this juice from the pork, and we're gonna see if it's gonna contribute to our pan sauce. Oh, that's good. That's very good. So I'm gonna add some of that in, just a bit, like that, cool down a bit. Next is our asparagus. I know this isn't necessarily the right way to break asparagus. I know it's actually a myth that it tells you where it wants you to break it, but I'm gonna break it like that. We get our pan pretty hot. We're gonna use the zest of a lemon, butter, Parmesan, olive oil. Just gonna break down the skins in some heat. We're just gonna keep them active for a second. We want to break down a little bit. We don't want to overcook it. We do want to develop some of the color and texture we're looking for because we don't want them soggy. We still want that crispness. We're gonna put in just a bit of olive oil. And we're gonna get a bit of butter. Great Parmesan. Borderline too much Parmesan. No such thing. It's like garlic. Lemon zest. Cool, so we're good to start cutting our pork. Our sauce, which is pretty thick. Cut our pork into the sizes we want. There's some blush pink going on. We don't want it, too terribly pink, but blush pink is what we're looking for because dry and white, not doing it right. I don't know. 145, your pork will thrive. I don't know. The sayings rhyme, right? They're perfect. That's my cut. That's home cook's cut. Okay. I think the dry rub will balance out our sauce nicely. These pieces are a little bit whiter, a little bit drier. Could have happened for a few reasons. The cut could have been a little bit thinner. It could have had less fat in it, which would have protected it less from the cooking, the high temps. Still gonna be the buttery texture we're looking for. We've got a lot of bright citrus flavors in this meal. One last grate of Parmesan cheese over the asparagus for aesthetics. That's our plate. It exists. It's a thing. It was made with love.